All right, Len, this is the last semester that this course is going to be offered. And it's been quite a ride.
Yes, it has.
My primary concern is over the course of the teaching this course, this will be the third year that we've taught the course. And the course just comes to an end. It generated a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. And then it just is over. And I hope that there's some way to continue the ideas. I mean, the course has generated so many ideas, some of which just have so fascinated me that it would be a shame if they just dissipated and went along the way as another course that used to be offered no longer. So we need to be looking at how we can get these ideas, give them new life. And I really do mean new life. Because we brought them along to a certain point, but we're not finished. I'm not finished. You're not finished. You are finished because you're going to retire. And I'll be finished the year after. And I think we did a lot to get it to, but there's so much more to do. And I don't think that we even got it right. And I want the information out there so other people can work on it and get it right. I've written some things for the course, a partial history of soul beliefs, because it didn't exist. That little bit of reading didn't exist. And I'm afraid to look at it now because it's probably so embarrassing. So, you know, we need to push forward on the history of soul beliefs. And I wrote another thing on how we how kids in particular internalize beliefs. I mentioned it to you in my little brief introduction here. How they internalize beliefs and think of them as facts. That's not a real new area for me, but just delving into something that I actually already know a good deal about, I have a sense that, you know, there's much further to go with that. Now, it was not easy to launch this course. I think that there were some reservations on the part of the administration to give us the green light right away. I mean, I wasn't there, but I have a feeling that they would say, oh, do we really want to do that? Because rightly so, it had some risks associated with it. And I thought there were some risks associated with it. And to my surprise, the students didn't go out and protest. We shouldn't have this course at the university. We had none of that. So that's one of my surprises. What surprised you?
Well, that was certainly one of my surprises as well, because I didn't really think that the administration would want a course with that title because, you know, as you indicated in your introduction, there's an element of taboo in talking about this. And certainly that's one of the things that we learned from our students is that this course opened up their ability to talk about it. And we heard many students say that for the first time they had talked to their parents or to their grandparents about soul beliefs. And, you know, the fascinating thing about this is that we have children from their earliest memory learning about these belief systems. And they just become so much a part of them, but they somehow learn it through sort of a constant little tweaking or inculcation of the ideas, and they end up with really strong, firm ideas about their beliefs, and they don't know where they got them. And so I think what this course did for many of our students, most of our students, I think, is to get them thinking about where they got their beliefs and to begin to examine them. And I think that's the most important thing that we did in this course. And I was totally impressed, maybe even surprised a little bit at these students' willingness to tackle big questions like this and to take it back to their families, take it back to their dorm rooms. And, you know, now we've been in the course for 3 years, and we hear from students who took the course in the first year, and they come back and say that it still is making a difference in the way they think about things. So that was certainly one of the very rewarding parts of being involved in this course, is to find out, A, that it could be done, and B, that the students found it to be such a rewarding experience for them. You know, we've both been in this business for a long time, and we get routine student evaluations from courses, but I've never had course evaluations as high as we've had in this course. The students love the course and clamor to enroll in it, and that was very exciting to be doing this and seeing it. I guess the other thing that I learned from the students, especially in the early part of the course, when you called them up on stage and asked them to talk about what they had been told to believe, not what they believe, but what they had been told to believe. And Rutgers, of course, is one of the most diverse universities in the country. So we had people from certainly all the major religions coming up there. And one of the interesting things to me was the similarity in the belief of what happens to the soul afterwards and how one should live one's life to make sure that the proper thing happens to the soul. And I think our students certainly went away from that one experience with a greater tolerance for other religions. And it just seems so clear to me from that interaction that there's something wrong with the greater world. That we have, you know, these same religions that were just so easily accepted by students and their fellow students. And we have people around the world killing each other because of those same belief systems. So that's certainly a good reason for the ideas of this course to go on and progress and evolve if it can do anything to sort of douse the flames of conflict that are going on out in the greater world.
Great. One of the things is, I agree with you, that once you, first of all, it seems like a very, very difficult topic to raise. We don't know how to talk about it. And so the idea of talking about in the context of what you were told to believe, that makes it safer. But the barrier to that, and you get over the barrier and you say, oh, that wasn't so bad. In fact, that was pretty interesting. I think it leads them to be able to talk about not just soul beliefs, but lots of things. It's a door opener for kids to talk, students to talk about other things in their family that normally they don't. I had plenty of students say, you know, I was afraid to talk to my mother. I was afraid to talk to my grandmother, father, whatever. But once I did, it wasn't so bad. In fact, we continue to talk about it. We continue, my roommate and I, who's very religious, or not religious, and I'm religious, we now have, it's okay, we can talk about, we got through that, we can talk about almost everything, not everything, but almost everything. But one of the early, the first time we did this, I have students coming up. By the way, the next, quote, lecture is this year's version of students on the stage talking about their soul beliefs. Which, one thing is there were no fights. Yeah. You know, they were saying, you believe that? You know, you're crazy. So it made the topic safe. But what I was going to say is early on, when our first group came out, and it was with the Protestants. We had a Protestant group on. And one guy, one end of the line, said, well, I'm a Mormon. And there was a young lady way at the end of the line who jumped up, and she was running up to give him a hug. He had no idea what was going, so I gave a high five or something. The reason she did that is she's a Mormon. So that's when it dawned on me that so much of this has to do with tribalism.
Exactly.
Members of the same tribe meeting each other. Now, in early days, you knew who was a member of your tribe, which is really important in the early stages of human civilization to be a member of the tribe, because you didn't want to go away from your tribe because you'd be killed. So you could recognize a member of your tribe by facial markings, by various other ways, mannerisms, the kind of clothes that they wore. That's still the case. I've talked with students before about wearing the scarves and the yarmulke, and all that has to do with indicating you're a member of the same tribe. And when you see a person as a member of your own tribe, it gives you a sense of security, a sense of comfort. I can talk to that person. But it was at that time when I saw that woman run up, want to give a hug to the Mormon guy. I had read some stuff about tribalism, and I thought, it's real.
That's it.
It's real.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, I think that was a very interesting interaction. And the other interesting thing about that was the eagerness that the students had. And, students aren't really known to be that eager in our big lecture halls. But you ask for 4 or 5 people from a Protestant group or from a Catholic group or a Jewish group, whatever. And in almost every case, you would get 6 or 8 people instead of the 4 or 5 you asked for. And then while they were talking, people would come running up from the back of the room to join that group.
That's not what my nun told me. That sort of thing, right?
Yes.
But the thing is, it was fun.
It was fun, and I think we did it kind of on a we'll see plan in the first year, and it worked so well that we repeated it, and it always works well. That the students really are eager to talk publicly about something that they haven't talked about privately before, and it's just really fascinating. And I don't even know, this certainly wasn't something that we planned. It was just something that happened, that whether it's the course structure or the way we introduce it or whatever, but it just seemed to open the door to this topic, almost in a way that suggested that the ideas that the students had were kind of bottled up and ready to burst out. So that was certainly one of the more fascinating aspects of the course.
I think we were lucky. The reason I think we were lucky is because the time was right for this.
I agree.
The timing was good, because it's almost as though you were talking about the brain and behavior, and there's all other things, but somehow I may have picked up. Your antenna is out, mine. It's like, hey folks, in this point of history, it's time to talk about this, and somehow we responded to that, and it took a little bit of courage to do it. It would be a lot easier to continue to teach our standard courses, but and I'll comment on one other thing, and then I think we ought to just cut this out unless you've got something to say. What really made it work is our relationship.
I think that's right.
I mean, it's just, Len, Professor Hamilton and I we've interacted before. We've co-taught some of these things here. But you would never say that, we're real close friends. But there's a compatibility between between us. And I'm not sure that an audience needs to know this, but my sense is if something needed to be done in the course or in preparation for the course, lots of times we didn't even talk about it. Just one of us did it.
Right.
It's like we knew what needed. So I hope in the future people pick up the idea that two really, really old people who didn't know each other before can be so compatible. In some respects, a good model. I tell some people who I like, say that my fondest wish for you is that you develop at some point in your career a relationship with a colleague that is so inspiring as our relationship has been.
I absolutely agree. I mean, when I first came to Rutgers, I spent almost all my time squirreled away in a rat lab studying the southeast corner of the rat brain. And then I'm not even sure that this course could have happened a decade ago because it took a certain level of thinking about other things, and now, strangely enough, some of the things I was doing with the rat brain in those early years now opens up, and I'm giving a lecture on the biology of thou shalt not.
Really? Okay.
and I think this has just been such a great experience, I think for both of us, certainly for me, to have the opportunity and in the late autumn of our careers to have the opportunity to put together a course like this.
I invite students, this year's students and any future students, I invite them to be engaged in this topic. And I know they're going to be interested in the topic. And I certainly be fascinating for me to see where it goes in the future.